everyone, this is Faye from Feisworld Media, and this week I have two live streams, and I'm really excited to be here with Kit Pang. And I have to remind myself how I met Kit. How did I meet you again? It is from Subtle Asian YouTuber group or
We have
something.
the superpower that Asians just connect. No, I think I found you on YouTube and I messaged you.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. And thank you for being a viewer, and you've given me a lot of really good feedback. Did you know that this month is, I think, Asian and Pacific Islander Celebration Month? So I feel really special to be here with you. And
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. With all the Asian hate and all of that. Oh man, that came out of whew,
that's
this year.
I know there's a lot happening. There's a lot we want to talk about for everyone who's watching this, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Please feel free to comment, to chat. And I know that a lot of you guys are popping on and off, but this video will be available after we go live as well. Ask away. And this is a way of, I think, celebrating creative entrepreneurship. And even if you're not actively creating content right now, or you feel like, "Oh, I'm not doing this professionally, I'm not really making a living," I really want you to tune in, because I really see Kit as someone who's not only been a YouTuber. He has a thriving YouTube channel. One of his recent videos got well over 110,000 views, which we're going to get into. But Kit also has been running his company for a while called BostonSpeaks. So that's something that we're going to get into. So creative entrepreneurship, not just putting all our eggs in one basket, but to really, see what the opportunities are out there. Before we get started, I would like to give a shout out to Restream, who is allowing us to go live in this simple way. I just plug in the title, description, and I'm live on more than 30 plus platforms, which I never really need to use that many. Mostly I'm just on the normal Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And it's just super simple. There's a link in the description below, which you get. You can use Restream for free. And if you want to upgrade, there's $10 credit waiting for you. So without further ado, Kit, how do you explain to people what Boston Speaks does typically?
Yeah, so the fun way is I help people not pee their pants when they go on camera or on stage, and then I help people go from boring to engaging. So that's the fun way. That's basically it. I'm a public speaking coach, and I help people speak with more confidence and influence.
Nice. And how long ago did you establish the company? I'm learning a lot of this for the first time.
Yeah, I used to be a hip hop street performer, and so in Boston, I used to do all the
What?
breakdancing, the tutting, the breakdancing, all that. So I started in 2016. And the reason I started was, yes, I did have a fear of speaking, but in the back of my mind, I always wanted to become a leader. And I knew that working on my public speaking would help me get there faster. And at the same time, I'm not sure if you felt this way or if you're listening. When I saw speakers speak on stage, I'm like, how the heck are they getting booked and paid to speak? I want to do something like that. So that's basically how I got into it.
Wow. All right. I had no idea you're a hip hop performer, dancer. Could you say a bit more about that?
I will say I first got my start. It was very random. Okay, it was back in high school. I used to be the stiff Asian kid. Asians we don't dance.
Yeah.
Stiff Asian kid. And then one time we went into like a cultural performance, and
Mm.
in that performance there was this hip hop salsa group, and for some reason I was compelled. I don't know why, to go up to them and say, "Hey, can I join your group?" Eventually, I think they needed more people, so they say, come to tryouts, and then I got accepted. But then I met
Mhm.
people from like the street performing background, and I fell in love with it. Um, but street performing taught me a lot about the business side of things. We're not paying people to come stand there
Mm.
and watch people. This is like the middle of the summer, and they have to stand there for like 30 minutes. And if we're good enough, they give us like $50 bills, $20 bills I mean, it was a lucrative thing too. So it was a lot, it was a lot of fun.
Wow. Did you perform in places like Faneuil Hall or like popular areas in Boston or?
Yeah, like downtown crossing, Faneuil Hall. Like back then, we didn't need like the permit. So we could actually do
Mm.
that. Like, there's no permit needed, but now we need a permit for everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
think it just
that's why I would say, the way that I speak, it
Mhm,
comes from for public speaking now.
mhm,
It's going to come from the street side and the book smarts
mm.
converged, because I feel like that's one of the missing sides when it comes to presentation skills, or being more confident, or even like the business side. There's always the books, but what about the things that are people just doing right now, like on the street, on the internet street, whatever, that it's working.
This is kind of crazy because it reminds me also of the future. I mean, soon we're going to be talking about YouTube, but there definitely is a very strong tying connection, in my opinion. As you know, as a YouTuber, if you lose your audience within the first 15 seconds, they might never come back. Meaning, you could be working hard on your videos for editing down to
Mhm.
10 minutes or less. If you lose people within the first 15 seconds, they're gone. So for you as a street performer, I feel like that's right in your face. Actually, physically watching people step away or give you a gesture that may be kind of difficult to accept as someone who's crafted something to say, I made this. I hope you like it. How did you deal with those self doubts, watching people leave or watching a trick or something, a part of the performance that simply didn't work? How did you take that in?
Well, there's a whole process to getting there. And I never usually talk about the street side and getting it to YouTube, but I can compare it. Wait, before I answer, when did you start YouTube again? You started a
Yeah, I started YouTube. I think my first series video, thinking this is what I'm doing in September 2019. Before that, I published videos or like repurposed from my podcast. So I wasn't taking it seriously until September 2019.
Was it difficult for you to get people to get hooked on?
Oh
Like,
my God. My first, I still, after all, year and a half, I still have videos with maybe like 5, 10 views. At the beginning, it was not much traction at all. Like, yeah, very minimum.
got it. Well, let's say street performing, right? Let's say you're walking in downtown.
Hmm.
I think my mic went off. Hold on. Did my mic go off?
No, yeah, I can still hear you perfectly.
Oh, you can? Okay. It's
Yeah.
been acting awkward and making sounds on my end. So if people are
So people know
walking,
it's live.
if people are walking downtown, or you're walking somewhere,
Hmm.
you have okay. Here's the thing: you are already going somewhere. If you're walking, you have a
Right.
destination. You're not going to say, "Who? I hope I'm going to stop in the street and watch something." Maybe it could, but possibly not.
Hmm.
So one of the biggest things that we do to get people to stop in the tracks is play music that they already know about, not random music. Play
Hmm.
music that's popular so that they already know about. And at the same time, if we're not doing it, this is like before show, we are doing moves that look like it's fancy, or what looks like we're doing something. So, relating this back to speaking or YouTube, how can you grab people's attention with something that they already know? Not what you
Hmm.
know, what they already know. So how can you say it in the form of a question or of a form of something that when they click in, they already have a sense of something that they know. That's why when people read the title,
Hmm.
yeah, you can repeat the title because they saw the title and now it's confirming to them, yeah, this is what I clicked into. So again, yeah, go into something that they already know about.
Right. There's a lot of connection between the street performance and YouTube, and I think content creation in general, because not only you have to hook somebody, you say, "Hey, this is Kid. I don't know, doing magic show, or I'm a hip hop dancer," and enjoy the show. But as you're performing, there are people who are stepping in too. Just like we're going live right now, people are coming on and off all the time. They might have a moment during lunch break, and they might and then at the same time they get a phone call, they got to leave. And so how do you hook people at the beginning? Let's break it down. How do you hook people at the beginning? How do you introduce I know I keep talking about street performance. If you want to pivot to
Oh, no, this is good.
this is good. Okay. So street performance, how do you get people hooked, right? As a hip
You
hop
have to be clear.
performer.
You have to be clear. Okay. So let's say people are street performing. You know when you see some people performing, you just don't go right next to the street performer.
Hmm.
You're probably like standing like 30, like a mile
Sure.
away.
Right.
You literally have to say to people, "Come closer. We're about to start. You get over here. You want to see something cool? You get over
Hmm.
here." Okay.
Right.
So relating this back to YouTube, how can you just directly tell people, "Well, here's what's coming up. here's why you should stay. We're going to get started, but here's what I want you to do at the same time. So you want to be direct with people as well. Like even right now, if you are watching this and you don't feel like you can direct people to say, okay, hey, type into the chat or do this. So you can also think of a CTA at the beginning as well, not just at the end. A CTA for your video, not just to go into your leads or somewhere else.
Right. Yep, that's perfect. And now let's say the one thing, I'm not sure if it's a mistake or maybe this is done on purpose. I've seen a lot of street performances, especially in Faneuil Hall, Boston Common. I happen to work in those areas for many, many years. So every day I see street performers, many different styles. And sometimes I notice that I understand, especially like hip hop or magic tricks, it's very physical. Most of them are physical, including singing. They tend to drag out, like they drag on the introduction for a very long time to make sure there's enough people watching and they don't get into the performance. So I want to kind of hear your take on that. Is that done on purpose? Do you think that's a mistake where people are strategically kind of planning their content and their energy? Like, what's your take on that in general?
That is strategic because let's say you have 5 people. Now what you want to do is get those people to speak up. So we want to say, hey, yeah, make some noise because it's going back to community. When you see people make noise, you're going to say, oh, there's something happening over there. It looks like something is happening. Therefore, we should go. So at the beginning, it's dragged out because to get more people, you want to like just make, give them something fun and for them to make more noise. So it just seems like something good might be happening later on. Yeah. But just like YouTube, it is a process. It's the same thing that happens every 20 minutes. It's the same thing that happens.
This is beautiful. Okay. So I'm feeling really satisfied, but if people are watching this, no matter where you are, if you have questions, even after live stream that you want to ask us, please do. I'll be sure to consolidate those questions, send it to Kit. So I guess the next part, if we can just pivot to YouTube and then come around to your business too, because I feel like there's a lot of synergy between BostonSpeaks and YouTube. You're essentially teaching what people need to know about public speaking on your YouTube channel. The content is free to access, but I'm sure it's driving traffic and leads to your own business. So when did you start your YouTube channel? What was the motivation behind that?
I started, I don't know, like a long time ago, but I wasn't serious about it. So if you're watching this, maybe you went off and on at the same time. It wasn't until I made the decision to be serious about my YouTube growth. That's when it really started going a little bit more and more and more and more.
When was that? Yeah.
So when that was back in only a year ago.
Okay.
I would say at the beginning, right before, let's say COVID, a little bit before COVID. And for me, the reason I did that was I think any marketing tool or social marketing tool works, YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever it is. I kept on saying to people, if you want to do good marketing, you focus on one thing. But I wasn't doing that. I was focused on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, everything.
Yeah.
If you look at it, all big influencers got big on one platform first. And the reason I chose YouTube is because I enjoy making videos. Public speaking videos is better than on blog. And so that's the reason of why I started it. Because one, I just decided I needed to choose one, and YouTube was the one.
And video was the one after choosing it because let's say you like creating videos and you knew that because you were shooting videos on your phone already or because you attended a lot of these speaking engagements, you feel comfortable, you like to be in front of the camera. Like what triggered you to think that YouTube is kind of the next wave is there, even though there are already so many YouTubers?
I think this goes back to your audience and what you enjoy. I think your audience could be on every single platform. Now it's your decision to choose one, because when you focus, right, you can do everything out there, but when you focus on one, I was on my meditation app earlier, and it was on focus, and they said, research I found, people think that you can do like 6 to 9 tasks, but research I found if you really want to focus, people can only focus like on under 3 tasks, multitasking at the same time. So that's why, if we have social media overload or information overload, what are you really focused on at the same time? You're just driving you nuts. But if you just pick one and go with it, you will find success in any of them. Clubhouse, YouTube, Twitter, yeah.
And then, so right now, would it be fair to say that your current primary focus, and perhaps for the past year, has been on YouTube, or has that changed?
It is YouTube and LinkedIn mostly, the big ones. Yeah, yeah.
YouTube mostly. Okay. And we're all like looking down because there's a comment, and which we get to display right here.
Right. What's your focus? What's your focus?
What's my focus?
Yeah.
Oh, my focus definitely right now it's on YouTube, and I would say prior to YouTube, yes, social media, and also yes on podcasting since 2014. So I would love to try to address people's questions that they come in. Malcolm O'Brien said, "What was the transition like? Did you take courses, speaking classes, YouTube training? What steps did you take?" I guess the question is, how did you transition into YouTube, right? That must be the question.
Yeah. So or maybe when I was a hip hop dancer to what I'm doing now as a speaker.
That's true. That's
Or
true.
maybe YouTube. The question back to you, Malcolm, and everyone that's watching: do you have imposter syndrome? No. Because if you do have imposter syndrome, it will take you a little bit longer for you to move and shift into a new area. I don't have imposter syndrome. So when I was a hip hop dancer, I didn't have any background on public speaking. I went on Eventbrite. I just started teaching workshops on public speaking. I would find a space and go teach it. Same thing with you if you want to go on YouTube. Do I have any experiences on cooking? Maybe a little bit. Would I have any experience for knitting? No, just start creating the things. But if you are looking for perfection, if you have imposter syndrome, you might be thinking, I'm not an expert yet, therefore I cannot teach it or share it. Well, have you heard of this before? A 5th grader is an expert to a 3rd grader. Even if you are too much of an expert sometimes, people will not resonate with you because you're too far in advance. So you just have to be a little bit ahead of your people, because the good thing is you have the exact questions that they have. And when you answer those questions, you're answering other people's questions as well.
Yeah, this is a great question. I too, Malcolm, I feel the same way, that I don't think I was feeling like an expert on YouTube. In fact, I was an indie filmmaker who just launched my documentary series Feisworld onto Amazon Prime. Some people might say that like, oh, you had this bigger budget and this is something you've done for a long time. I didn't. I had a crew and a team who were very close to me. I trusted and put together what we think a very successful project. However, I must say, switching from indie documentary filmmaking to YouTube was a huge shift. Everything I knew kind of just wasn't very transferable. The way how YouTube works, where you're cutting out a lot of ums and ahs, you're making the video really tight, or you purposely make it kind of relaxing. Still, you don't have to talk super fast, but you still have to give people sort of nuggets, and so that they keep watching, and so that YouTube continues to promote your videos. So yeah, definitely, I encourage anybody who's never done a single video or feels not very comfortable in front of the camera to be on YouTube anyway, because you will feel more comfortable. I may not have a ton of imposter syndrome, but I was not comfortable in front of the camera, and I still trip over my words every single day as I'm recording this. I just move my camera out of the way. So great question.
When did you get more comfortable?
What did I do to get more comfortable? Just simply by doing it.
When did you get more comfortable? And what did you do?
Yeah. What really surprised me was once you get into the habit of, for example, publishing on YouTube, which I did since September. Nobody watched my videos. So number one, I wasn't feeling really nervous. I figured nobody's freaking watching this anyway. I'll say and do whatever I want. I look silly. Nobody's going to see this. As I think even onto week 2, you really went from really stiff, trying to be scripted, to all of a sudden, week 2, be like, you know what? I'm doing this. I think Seth Godin has a lot to say about, and Kid, I would love to hear your idea on this, but Seth Godin, and along with all the other people, like Brian Koppelman said, hey, you just start writing. He's like, some of the stuff I write is complete crap. but I now see words on paper. So once you get into that rhythm, it is addicting. It feels really good, and you just relax. You just feel more comfortable.
Yeah. There's a good quote, right now, if you are starting your YouTube journey or whatever journey that you're on,
Mhm.
this is from the book Atomic Habits. Winners and losers have the same goals, right?
Mhm.
Why do winners get there and why do losers not? Yeah. I think the biggest thing is are you focused? Are you determined? Maybe you don't get there now, maybe you can pick up back up later again, but how are you going to get there?
Mhm. Yeah. I What are your thoughts now, Kid, on the fact that you and I have been on YouTube for I've been doing it for a year and a half, you've been doing it for a year. Maybe some people watching this are thinking on the verge of trying to get started. Some of them maybe are in a few hundred subscribers range, not getting a ton of views. Maybe some of the folks watching this are just pushing their first 100 subscribers. What have you learned now sitting, you're well over, I think, 2,000 subscribers at this point. So you've worked hard to get to where you are. What are your thoughts on content creation, managing your content? Are you going after the algorithms, or are you doing what you love to do so that you have still a variety of, how do I say this? Still have your niche, but you can create content that's not just about one theme or one
Yeah.
topic.
To be honest, I like to make things easy. I
Mm,
look up all of my competitors. I don't think they're competitors. I actually know all of them. I feel like we're just friends. I look
mm,
up all the top channels and I replicate the top 5 videos.
interesting.
In the past 2 years, not in the past 8 years, in the past 2 years. The reason
Mhm,
being, those are working. If
yeah.
it's recent, if people are still watching it, then you want to create your version as well.
Oh, super, super interesting. For example, people now know you. You founded Boston Speaks. You have all these ongoing events. You're a speaking coach. That's your niche. And who do you consider, or how do you go about researching your friends slash competitors? Like who are in that space? Because one can argue is like there are maybe hundreds of other people, right? There's a pretty big space still. How do
Yeah.
you narrow it down to say these are the people I want to kind of mimic and learn from?
If you are watching, when you're interested in something, you watch all these videos. If you are, here's the thing. Sometimes when you are creating your own videos, you don't watch other people's videos of the same topic. I would say start watching them. Think of you are in their mindset think of you are in your audience mindset. If you are your audience, what would you watch on YouTube?
Mhm.
Because if you are on YouTube right now, you are not just watching one channel, right? Not just Faye's channel, but maybe five other channels that are related to Faye. Okay,
Mhm.
you need to think of that mindset. Start watching other people's, whatever topic video that you're doing, and
Mhm.
you'll naturally see all the related content there. All the channels there. The good thing about this is that that's how YouTube works. You just don't watch one channel; you watch another channel that's related
Mhm.
to your
Mhm.
channel. So I would say start watching those channels, and you're gonna start creating your own list. Yeah, and then
That's so
you see what keywords that they type in. Yeah, how do you do it, Faye?
yeah. Uh, I guess this is really interesting. I don't want to generally categorize this by men versus
Yeah,
women, but I think for me as a creator, I feel like one of my takeoff videos or breakthrough videos was related to how fitness instructors can teach Zumba on Zoom. And I did it because I need my Zumba instructors to continue teaching me at the beginning of the pandemic.
yeah,
I'm not even a teacher myself. So that took off. So if some of you are seeing that takeoff video, meaning if you're usually getting 10, 50 views, all of a sudden one video gets hundreds and it continue to grow, there's a trend going on. And so for me, I was kind of following my own trend for a while, answering all these hundreds of questions that came in through the comment section. So I wasn't paying attention to what my competitors are doing. Now that you mention it, Kid, I can definitely see that there are other people creating Zoom tutorials, very, very successful at it. Each one of their, Zoom 101, everything you need to know about Zoom, advanced features you need to know. I can definitely learn from those videos and prioritize features I think that are important, offer that as value to my audience. But in addition, maybe we can talk about this, Kit, just to kind of get it very clear into our audience heads. is that you know that you've kind of saturated in a particular topic you really want to break through, because you as a human being are changing. And part of my business is also changing. For me specifically, from Zoom, I saw a natural pivot into live streaming. So I'm not like abandoning Zoom altogether, but I think we need to do more. I want to go live with my Zoom conversations. That's how I found Restream. I want my podcast to reach more audience. That's why it's live streaming. So there's that. But now, a year and a half later, I really want to get into the heads of creative entrepreneurs. I want to show people it's not about hosting Zoom meetings and everybody's still trying to improve their Zoom meetings by 5 to 10%. And I say, stop that. It's good enough, right? Stop buying equipment. Now you should think about your business holistically. How to sell more tickets to your events, how to sell pre-recorded content, how to create an on-demand library, like a Netflix style for all your content. Let's have those conversations. So that's kind
Yeah.
of how I'm evolving right now. It's an uphill battle. It's not always simple.
What's making you make the shift?
Because I think that's how I can be authentic to my own brand. Right. My brand has never ever been about Zoom. Every Zoom video I put out there, I know it's going to get views. I know I will get ranked, no matter how not proud of it I am. If I just put Feisworld Zoom, I'm going to get views. And so the natural progression of me seeing my brand is to help content creators and creative entrepreneurs to to own their content, to build their platform. I feel like that's my sweet spot, and that's why I'm pivoting.
So that means you're going to stop making Zoom videos now, right?
That's interesting, right? Like, what do you do in that situations? For me, there's still plenty of Zoom updates that are relevant, but it's not going to be the main theme of my channel. So I make it about if there's something worthy talking about, maybe there's a bug, maybe there's a new feature. I will talk about it about once a month, maybe twice a month. But on the frequency, I'm going at about 2 videos a week. What I'm not saying is I don't want to make Zoom to be 50% of my videos, not even 20%.
But why are you still talking about it? It doesn't seem like it's 100% related to content creators. Yeah. I'm not saying it is related, but
Meaning talking about it now on the live stream, or why am I still recording videos related to Zoom?
why are you still making Zoom videos?
Um, I think strategically as a content creator, you want to give something to your audience because they're still there. But it has to be real value. It can't just be you trying to write the algorithm. So I still think there's something relevant. Plus, for example, live streaming like Restream and another sponsor I have now is called Ribbon. So they're all about building on-demand and online experiences. And every single one of these software platform, they have a Zoom integration.
Hmm.
People are so used to using it. So it's still part of my story. But frankly, a year from now, I don't know whether I'll ever be talking about Zoom again. I don't know. Maybe a year from now, it will become so obsolete and unnecessary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be. There could be a new Zoom coming out too. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I feel you because when you're saying all of that, that's why I think it goes back to, some of the people that's watching this.
Hmm.
Uh, I think it really goes back to focus. Are you willing to give up the good to be great? There's a lot of videos that we can make, but at the same time, when I transitioned from, let's say, being a public speaking coach, at first I wanted to teach this with public speaking. I wanted to teach improv. I want to do all of that. I was scared to focus and niche down. I was scared because I said, if I don't do that, I'm going to lose out on that.
Hmm.
But but I didn't really lose out on anything. I didn't really lose. So, I think for content creators, one of the best things you can do is to say, okay, what good can I give up to go for the great? And how can you start making great content, even if it's for a specific niche? I used to not always be like this. I'm one of those people. I just go head in until it
Hmm.
was, it wasn't until I met my wife. She is quality over quantity. I am quantity over quality, right? I'm just going to throw a bunch of videos out there, right? And hope that they landed. I was doing hope marketing, hope YouTube videos. But then I
Hmm.
kept on seeing those people who are making quality videos, right? Quality research, quality videos. And every single time they go up, people love it because they're like, that's the people they want to associate with. I'm not saying there's anything bad with quantity at all. I think you have to be like 50-50. But if you are watching right now and you are too much quantity over quality, you need to shift over. to quality. Or if you are too much quality, then you
Mhm.
need to stop being so perfect and switch over to more quantity more as well.
So specific to YouTube, I will kind of offer my take on quality versus quantity. So I think for people who are starting out, and if you're saying, okay, I'm going to take YouTube seriously, I know I'm not going to be a YouTube star in a day or two or in a year or two. Taking it seriously in my eyes is that you should be putting out at least one video a week. Just stick with it, one video a week. And later on you'll get better. I think you can aim for two videos a week. And I know for most grown-ups, especially if you have family and a full-time job, trying to aim for more than that could be a little unrealistic. That's where you start to sacrifice your quality. But what's your take, Kit? Like what does quantity versus quality mean to you and your channel right now, given that it's been, it's a more than a year old?
Yeah, I think like what you're saying, Trey, is it's like, okay, if you have a busy family, like how realistically, I used to write down my goals. I used to write down how many subscribers I wanted. I said,
Mhm,
okay, here's 5,000 subscribers. But then my mindset shift was wrong. That was something that I did not control. Now my new
mhm,
goal is 100 YouTube videos. That
mhm,
is something that I can control because it's what I can make. So write down a goal of maybe how many videos you can make. And realistically, maybe it's once a week, maybe it's twice a week, maybe it's once every 2 weeks. And how
mhm,
can you fulfill that? Yeah, this conversation, I think there are good things to both sides, right?
mhm,
You look at HubSpot, let's say HubSpot, they put so many blogs out there, blog, 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 blog. It's working for them. Okay,
mhm,
it's good. Versus, I'm using Brian Dean, and he's a great marketer. One blog, maybe 1 month or every 2 months, but then people go crazy over that. So I would have to say, going back to quality and quantity, which one works better for you? Like right
mhm,
now, like I follow, let's say Russell Brunson. Russell Brunson is a quantity guy. He's
mhm,
just he's shooting stuff out. But then like other people who just does great launches, they
mhm,
maybe do one launch 1 year. Yeah, I
mhm,
think it's both sides. You have to see where it works for you. But I think also when you start growing a business or your YouTube channel, your biggest strengths will also be your biggest weaknesses. And when you come to that point that
mhm.
you find out your biggest strengths are going to become your biggest weakness, you need to be aware of that and what's stopping you.
What do you mean by that, Kid? What was your biggest strength that turned into a weakness?
My biggest strength is quantity.
Mhm,
Like I used to throw out so many YouTube videos or in live person events. I don't care. I'll do like 3 live events a week.
mhm,
Go out there. I used to, put blogs out. When I started having a team or when I started getting serious, it was too much quantity. There was no
mhm,
quality. Again, your biggest strength right now could be perfection, could be quality. Because
mhm.
that is your biggest strength, you got to where you are now, but that's going to be holding you back because it's too much perfection. So you need to go over to your weakness area, which is
Mhm.
quantity.
So let's talk about the quality real quick. I think as creators of any kind, whether you're a podcaster, YouTuber, whatever it may be, right? You're a blogger, it is really easy to look at our own product, our content to say, that's not good enough. I should be growing. So part of that aspect, it's going to help you grow, help you learn more and be eager to learn all the time. And that's good. But there's also, that negative self-talk that can really get in the way, or stopping you from creating the actual quality content that you're aiming for. So, Kid, do you have, whether it's formula or system or mindset, to look at every video that you're putting out there now? By the way, how many are you putting out there a week?
I've been
One?
lazy. I've just been doing interviews. I haven't been.
Oh, not
But
editing
usually it's
videos.
like I do like one interview or one video a week.
Okay, let's just say roughly one a week. Um, let's separate that. Let's talk about interviews. What do you consider as a quality interview? And then let's talk about if you're editing like a traditional YouTube video tutorial or reaction video. So let's talk about interviews. What do you think it's quality? What help you get to the reasonable quality you're aiming for?
I think quality is one. I think it always goes back, and let me know your answer too.
Mhm,
Does it help the audience? Is it
mhm,
really helping the audience? That is because when we think of quality, yeah, we might think of, oh, we don't have our logo there. Oh, my hair's messed up. That's bad quality for us. But to the audience, they don't really care. They care about the value that they get. So when you think of quality, one is your audience getting quality value, not like the sound. Yeah, it does matter, sound and all that. But at the same time, is the information there. But when it goes back to you, the quality. If we're talking about interviews, I think of, are they getting value? And second, then it goes back to the numbers, right? How many people are watching this? Can I use it in the future? Even if no one is showing up right now, can I repurpose this? Every single interview, let's say that you do, you can have so much more content that you create out of there. Because let's say this, Faye, all the questions that you ask now, I can make a separate video of every single one of those questions.
Right.
Or maybe when you have an interview guest, you can just, every single thing that they answer can be another video. So I think it depends on, for you now, for us, that's doing the interviews. Well, what's the purpose for me doing the interviews? Can I reuse it later, or can I get more from it? What about you?
Yeah, I think that's really well said. Repurposing your existing content is definitely a sign of quality content. And some might argue to say, I mean, this is a live stream content, right? Which is very different than edited content because we're going to have the ums and ahs. We're going to go through different angles. Also, as a host, sometimes we will have guests who are not as experienced being guests on these shows. So some are, some people are used to talking straight for a long time. Some people are getting really used to being very quiet. Sometimes you want to study the guest a lot. Sometimes you don't. You don't want something so formulated. You actually want to be good listeners and travel to where the conversations are going. So for me, those are signs of not just how well controlled these conversations are, but in retrospect, did I enjoy the conversation? And did my listeners or people who are watching this get something out of it? But I think there's also, not selfishly, there's something for the live streamers themselves that you stay top of mind for people who are watching you. I cannot tell you that how many times that every time I go live, within the next 22 to 48 hours, I hear back from somebody. So if you're a content creator, I want you to think about that for a second. Whether you're on LinkedIn, whether you're on YouTube, because going live is much easier than sitting there, cranking on 4 hours of editing time, uploading. You're just live and people see you. They might hop on for 2 seconds, hop off. And a lot of you drop me an email that say, "Oh, Faye, that project we're going to continue talking about, this thing, and what camera are you using?" So I think it really sparks conversations that way. To me, it sounds like I'm not really trying to ask for a lot from live streaming, but I am. And I think it's really good training for us to be spontaneous, not being perfect, as well as the other type of content, which we're going to talk about in a second, which is like edited YouTube video, planned, scripted, edited. Does that answer your question, Kit? Does that clarify my
Yeah,
approach?
yeah, that's good. I have to be honest with you. Like I'm doing one interview every single week, and also these edited videos. Right now, in the back of my mind, I'm like, should I cut my interviews at the same time and
Yeah.
just focus on edited videos? That's what I'm really thinking about. I'm like, okay, where's my focus? Because the interviews right now, they're doing okay. They're not getting that many people,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm in that mode of I'm scared to cut out something. If right now, okay, can I give up the good to become great? That's where I'm at right now. I'm like playing around with that idea.
Yeah. Okay, so before we move on to the edited videos, Kid, one thing I feel like we dance around, and sometimes it's not really the right metrics for people who are watching this. Just like Kit said, if you only focus on views of a particular video, if you only focus on subscribers, you've in a way sort of failed yourself because those are the things you really cannot control, right? YouTube has a way to promote your videos as well as hiding your videos or whatever it may be. You can't control that. So, Kid, what are some of the things that you want to control or something that, it doesn't have to be a vanity metrics or any kind? What's your hope and dream, say, by the end of 2021? What would you like to see happen on your YouTube channel?
I would like to see. I'm going to answer that differently. I
Mm,
want to kind of like have McDonald's for my process. I think success is okay. Am I meditating before I do my YouTube videos? How's the process like? Because if you have your process
mm,
down, what you are improving is your process that makes your chicken nuggets become better. So I want to have success in my process. It's not about the views.
mhm.
Yeah, from now, I want to get 100 videos done. and then have a good process to get that 100 videos done. Yeah.
Mhm. Wonderful. Yeah, that's exactly right. Not only I think if you are thinking about mindset like Kit is, that not only going to create the content that you promise yourself, but you're actually going to have a lot more fun along the way. You know, whether you meditate, whatever your routine may be, but to make sure that you take care of yourself physically, mentally as a content creator is just huge, and it's often not talked about. So I do want to ask that question because one thing, for example, that Kid recently isn't. Oh, I just kind of start playing that video. But you had a couple of breakthrough videos, so I want you to tell us how you go about approaching the editing process. What is important for your videos, tips and tricks you've learned to say, oh my God, look at this. It's driving views. People are not leaving my videos. And oh my God, usually my videos get a few hundred views and this one has over 110,000. What are some of the lessons learned that you can share with our content creator audience?
To be honest, I stopped following too many YouTube people talking about their way of growing on YouTube. The reason being, every YouTube person that's telling you how to grow on YouTube, they have a different method. There's nothing wrong with that. It's kind of like going to a chiropractor
Mhm.
versus a doctor. They both have ways of solving the same problem, but it's a different approach. Okay. So
Mm.
one, I stopped watching a lot of them and I just focused on one or two people and I'm honing down on what they are saying.
Who
So
are those 1 to 2 people?
I would say I like Pat Flynn.
Oh, he's great. Yeah.
Yeah. And this other guy, I don't even know his name. I just watch his videos, but I do not know his name.
Yeah, I know. I
I watch his. What is it? Now I gotta find out later. Really don't know the guy's name. I
yeah.
somehow happened on him, but anyway, I watch him now.
Okay. So
So
for
yeah.
anybody who's watching, let us know who your favorite YouTubers are, where the channels you're trying to learn from, tips and tricks. Let us know in the comments section. But
What
yeah,
about
Caleb,
you? What about you? Who do you follow? Well, on the YouTube
who do
side.
I follow?
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's a pretty big variety. I would say in terms of content creation, this is one guy I stopped watching because I feel like I consumed enough. Think Media is the channel where they tell you how to grow. I think Sean has a lot to offer, but after a little while, right? Like you feel like you've heard it all, and you got to go back to doing what work,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
If you keep watching, if you keep signing up for workshops, spending money on how to buy new books and signing up for all these Facebook groups, you got to really reevaluate that because I feel like that's a mistake a lot of new YouTubers will make. Um, Community is important, but if that's all you're doing is talking to other people, you got to watch out for that. So Think Media comes to mind. I feel like I don't religiously watch Peter McKinnon, but I like
Mhm.
the videos where he's not just talking about Photoshop, fancy cameras. I like to see how he kind of create a story and create how he narrates it. It's really interesting. But I watch out for people with 5, 10 million subscribers because you sometimes get the wrong ideas, right? They're not very relatable. So there are other, yeah, Asian creators I follow. I surprise myself. There are a lot of Asian creators I follow. I have been for a long time. Some of them are vloggers, which have nothing to do with the content I'm creating. So I try to diversify in terms of who I learn from and what I pay attention
Yeah.
to.
It's good to see like how other people not in your field are making videos, even like not related to YouTube at all. It's like I'm like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, I'm watching this guy. He's just making a documentary. That's how he's making it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, you reminded me, kid. There's one woman I follow, like absolutely cannot remember her name.
Mhm.
I found her 2 days ago because I wanted to learn something very specific, and this is a tip. If there's something specific you need to learn and do, such as I want to use my 4K camera. I have a Sony 6400, which I use for all my YouTube videos. I want to know how to use that camera to be my live streaming camera. I didn't have enough time to set it up for this, but I was eager to make it work. I had some fear of
Mhm.
that video being 4K and therefore it's going to make live streaming really crappy. It will stop working. So I watched 3 to 5 different videos until I found something I realized, oh, this woman really knows what she's talking about. And how? Because she demonstrates, she actually purchased a lot of webcams and fancy cameras. She was showing me every single one of them with a slider. I can see the difference. So that goes back to what you said, kid. That is a long video to make, as in not the length of the finished video, but that is some serious hard work. And this woman only has 5 videos, and each one of them has over 200,000 views. Um, that's that's definitely quality over quantity. Too much so, maybe.
Did you figure it out? Have you tried it yet?
I have not. That's something on my radar to do today and tomorrow because of another live streaming session tomorrow. I'm not sure it will be ready, but I'm willing to give it a shot. Are you using your 4K camera right now?
I don't have a 4K camera. I'm just on webcam guy.
What do you use for your regular YouTube videos?
Webcam, Logitech, a Logitech webcam.
See, guys, if you have a Logitech, even if I know that your computer built-in camera maybe too not enough power for this, but
Yeah, built-in one.
don't use that one. But even a webcam, you purchase Logitech 99, 120 bucks. You can have your own YouTube channel, and Kid is like thriving and looking really sharp in a lot of those videos. Good job.
Yeah, it goes back to. I think it's funny because when you realize when you get all the equipment, that's when you say it doesn't matter. But when we're starting out, it's like, oh, I need the equipment. It's like. So if you're someone that's thinking, should you get equipment? Get it, and then you'll realize you probably don't need it, but get it
Yeah.
because it makes you happy.
Exactly. It's so funny that when you said like dating, when you mentioned dating or, when you mention kind of relationship dating, it's very much similar, right? When you're younger, you're like, I need to have people check off all these things on the list. This person has look good, went to good school, speaks well. And then once you meet the love of your life, you meet the right person, you realize that list is completely bogus, like so useless. And it's very much like, your YouTube channel creating video content. Sometimes the best ones that actually end up working or writing the algorithm, those are very unexpected in a way,
Yeah,
at least for
yeah.
me. Yeah.
But this goes to show you just have to give people what they want. If you have a list right now of things that you want, well, take it. Unless I'll help you. But Faye, yeah.
Yeah. So, to respect your time, Kit, I definitely want to say that I want people to go ahead and check out your channel. The best way to check out your work, would it be on YouTube or on your website? Let us know.
Yeah, just go to Boston Speaks. You can type that in or Kit Pang on YouTube, and you can find out all the videos there.
Awesome. So, yeah, so I just dropped a link in and bostonspeaks.com. And yeah, so before we close, I know you offer consulting services, and what is that? What could be of interest to people? They're watching this, and maybe they have fear during public speaking, or what's the best kind of client? What is your sweet spot to work with people?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So right now, if you have, it's not your first time presenting, it's not your first time going on video. If you feel stuck week after week or month after month, whether if it's a fear of speaking, whether you can't feel like yourself speaking on camera, or you can't feel like you are being persuasive, if you feel stuck, then talk to me, okay? If you want to get over it, you can go to bostonspeaks.com or visit the YouTube channel. There's a lot of videos to help you. Thanks, Faye, for having me on today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, Kit, and look forward to see some more questions coming on. And thank you guys for watching. If you find this interesting, I hope you tune in tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be speaking with Anya Rosina from Restream to talk about how sponsorship works, how to be a content creator, what the process is like. I know a lot of you guys are growing your channel, but you don't know how to either proactively reach out to sponsors, or when they reach out to you, what do you say? How do you negotiate? So I hope you tune in tomorrow. You can learn more on feisworld.com/events. And that concludes today. I'm going to take us